Hi, this is Tori, broadcasting live. We're from the 119 Media Group studio with the Keep the Faith podcast. And then with me today, I have a very special guest now. Before we get into that day, because she's extremely nervous, let me just say a few things before we get started. I want to shout out to Mr. Isaac Wilson, who did the fifth annual honoring local heroes this past Friday. It was a beautiful thing. I really enjoyed it. It was my first time attending, so I want to shout out to him because it is so amazing to make sure we honor those and give those flowers while they're still here. Also want to do some birthday shout outs. My sister Toya birthday is going to be coming up on Wednesday. Strong Tower family. Her birthday is coming up on Wednesday. And also my brother Gary, class of 89, Mayo High School. Woo woo. The Golden Bears, the best school on the planet. I'm gonna be biased. And of course, he'll be celebrating his 50th birthday this coming Saturday. So I wanted to wish him a happy birthday. But nonetheless, let me tell y'all something. I have been trying to get this young lady on the show for months. When I tell you months, it has been months. I literally had to drag her in the studio. And I have Miss Quita in the studio with me today. And today I told her to just calm down and just let God use her. So the title, I told her just think about what she wanted to speak on today. And she has a message that she's going to share today. And it's called, I don't know where she's going. She looking at me like, what? Listen, the topic that she gave me was breaking the cycle. Now, where Quita's going with this, I have no idea. I'm going to be listening in just like you guys are. So, Quita, before we get into the topic, breaking the cycle, tell everyone about yourself and calm your nerves. It's okay. And while you're telling people about yourself, I'm going to try to share it to my personal page because, as you guys know, I am in Facebook jail, so I can't go live from my page. So I'm in jail. So I'm going to try to share it to my personal pages. But in the meantime, Miss Quita, tell everyone a little bit about yourself. Where you're from? Tell everybody who Quita is.
Hey, y'all. I'm Quita. I'm from Georgetown, from Sampit, South Carolina, big city of Sampit. Yeah. It's been a long time coming. Like I ran from Tori, like literally until I got tired and she caught up with me. So I'm here, but I love Tori. I really do. And she means a whole lot to me. She encourages me all the time in so many areas of my life that even when I don't respond, she really does. It's just the small things that she says that's what she is. She is an encourager. So I'm glad to be here, even though my nerves are all over the place. I am glad to be here. I thought this was going to be like an interview though. I thought she was going to talk to me, ask me some questions or something. I didn't think I was just going to come up here and
Listen, it's going to go back and forth. Like I told you earlier, it's based on, how the topic goes. I may ask some questions. And like I told you before, we're going to have probably people comment and they may ask you something. So we're going to play it by ear. That's how live works. So we, play it by ear. But like I said, just let God lead you. And you said you had the topic of breaking the cycle. So like I said, I'm going to be finding out just like everyone else, where you're going. So I'm going to give you the floor. And like I said, I'm going to ask you questions based on, the conversation, the flow of the conversation.
Gotcha. Okay. So that is the title. Before I get into it deeply, though, I would like to give a shout out to my babies, the boy and the girl. Y'all know the boy and the girl are like literally my life. They are. And a lot of what I'm saying tonight came from conversations that I've had with both of them, especially my daughter. But the title Break the Cycles didn't come to me until this morning. And I didn't even think about the song by Jonathan McReynolds until I was in the car on my way here a few minutes ago, Cycles. And I'm going to read the lyrics of that at the end. But breaking the cycle. What first came to my mind when Tori asked me to, think about or pray about whatever it was that I wanted to share, I thought about when I shared for 3LC some time ago and I talked about rejection. And that was the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, well, God, you want me to say that all over again? Like there were people that were at the church or that would have seen it or whatever, but I still didn't get that was the same title. And I was like, we're past rejection or whatever. But at the same time, rejection is a part of it, but it's a part of a cycle that we all go through because we don't deal with the root of a thing. A lot of times we deal with the fruit of what's going on, whatever we can see, but there's some things that are deeper that we just overlook. Sometimes we overlook it because of who it's coming through, because we see the face. And we're taught at Strong Tower to take the face away from the spirit. It could be our parents, it could be our siblings, it could even be our children or our spouses or whoever it may be. It could be our bosses, supervisors, anything. But we have to know how to take the face away from the spirit in any situation and in every situation, and know that we all, our life is a cycle. Our life is a cycle, but we have to know how to break the cycles of the things that aren't good for us. Because a lot of times we'll continue to go through a thing and to go through a thing because it's familiar to us. And, we've been taught about familiar spirits and that type of thing, and I won't get into that. But a lot of times because something is familiar to us, it can hurt. But because we're used to it, we know how to patch stuff up and keep going. So again, I want to talk about breaking the cycle. We don't want to keep going through the same thing over and over and over again, knowing that God has better for us, knowing that God wants us in a better position or somewhere else. For me, when I think about a cycle, I think about going around and around and around, which a cycle would go in around and around and around in a circle. I get dizzy naturally. I don't like to get dizzy. I feel nauseous. My stomach feels crazy. I get headaches. I don't like that. So why would I want my spirit to keep going around and around in a cycle, doing stuff that I should not be doing, that I know I should not be doing, but I continue to do it because that's what's familiar to me, or because somebody who's been in my life, my A1 from day one, or whatever we might call them, that person is right with me and that's who I'm used to. So I'm going to do it because, you know what I'm saying? Why would we continue to go through a cycle over and over and over again, causing damnation to ourselves or hurting ourselves? So that kept resonating in my spirit. And where my kids came in is where I was talking to my daughter, Sienna, and, it's for me, watching the boy and the girl grow up, and that's what I call them. Watching them grow up is completely different than when I grew up. Not that I'm all that old, but it's just different. Some of the things that they have to deal with. I'm not saying that it wasn't there when I was growing up, but it's so much more prevalent and it's allowed now. It's like these spirits are so much bolder now. Back when I was in school, there were drugs, there was some homosexuality, but not outwardly. It might be something somebody whispered about or whatever the case might be. And I know one of the things from a child that I struggled with has been my self-esteem. And I've shared that with you before, and I've shared that, at church or whatever. But I'm grateful to God that I'm coming to a place where I can be comfortable with who I am, not just because of who I am in the flesh, but who I am in Christ. And because I can be comfortable in who I am in Christ, He's allowing me to align my natural life with the spiritual. So, which in turn made me get to some places in my life where I saw some people or some situations and I was like, okay, God, I've been here before. What can I do different? But I had to go back and look at, it's not that person. It's something that is in you. Because, we attract who we really are on the inside. So I'm like, God, what is this thing that's in me that I have not uncovered or that I've covered up, that I have not wanted to deal with because I didn't want to offend this person or I didn't want to offend that person? What's that thing that's in me? And a lot of times, and I've said this before as well, a lot of times it goes back to our childhood, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to come on here, because Tori know how to pull on people just looking at you like that. But like a lot of things go back, and I can say even to my childhood, things that bothered me about myself, about my complexion, about just who I am, and just not feeling comfortable in who I am and not feeling like I should celebrate me. But I've learned differently. And so I'm glad that I've learned differently, and I can look at my children and I can tell them, be proud of who you are. I'm not saying going out here and say you're better than anybody else, but you don't have to have a low self-esteem. You can be who you are. You can accomplish what it is that you would have to or would like to accomplish, and you don't have to hear that negative talk from me. A lot of times we've heard it. We've heard negative talk from people in our lives that we've been growing up, people telling us what we couldn't do, be it our parents, be it our grandparents, be it our aunts, uncles, whatever the case might be. And we hold on to it. I can say that there were things that were said to me that I held on to. And so because I held on to them, I see where there are cycles in my life that I have not broken, that I'm in the process of breaking. Because when I get to the place where I feel like I can't, I get this extra push from God that says you can. And so when I remember the word and I allow the word to speak and go before me, then I don't have to stay in that same place. I don't have to be stuck in that rut, and I don't have to keep playing those same words in my head over and over and over again. And this is not something that, I've had down packed for a long time. This is something that I'm teaching myself like daily, because there are things that come to my mind all the time, memories. And, I think back on some things that I wanted to do that I was unable to do. And for a split second, it'll cause me my whole demeanor, and I want to get depressed. Everything will just, go down. And then I have to think to myself, that's not who you are. You can do better, because you have who is greater within you than he that is in the world. So you don't have to sit here and be somber. You don't have to sit here and be sad. You don't have to be depressed. And I know people know that I went through divorce. You don't have to, be embarrassed because of that, because you put in what you needed to put in. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to live in that place of just feeling bad for yourself, and you don't have to have a pity party. And anybody that knows me, for the most part, I'm a happy person almost all the time. I have moments when I sometimes find myself at home and I just feel like, okay, this is just too much for me and I just want to sleep it off. But then, that can't last long because of who I am in Christ. He's not going to allow me to stay in that place a long time. And my children won't let me stay there for a long time. And they know when I start to want to shut down. So I'm grateful for them in my life. And like I was saying, I had a conversation with my daughter, and I was talking to her about her self-esteem and being, I tell her you can be who you want to be. And there are times I just look at her and I'm like, Anna, you're beautiful. Your eyes are so beautiful. And I compliment her, because those are some things that I don't feel like I got growing up. So to me, that's a part of breaking the cycle. Sometimes we say that we're going to break the cycle and we're going to stop generational curses and all this, but we don't do anything to put that into action. A lot of times we don't say anything about it. We're hush hush about some things. And being hush hush is just like throwing or sweeping dirt under a rug. We're not dealing with it. A few months ago, I was cleaning my carpet, and where my kitchen table is, I have an area rug that's in that area. I didn't want to move the table. I didn't want to move the chairs. I moved a couple of them, but I cleaned all around it. And it came to me even then, just because you lift that rug up and it's lighter under there, doesn't mean that there's not any dirt or anything that's already built up under there. You just don't want to go through whatever you have to go through to clean whatever needs to be cleaned out. And a lot of times that's how we are. We don't want to go through a process. We want to deal with the fruit. We don't want to deal with the root. But it's just like a plant. If we pick a weed, let's say a weed, we pull the weed, but we don't do anything to kill the root. I don't care how many times you pull that weed, it's going to keep coming right back up because the root is there. So we have got to do something with the root of a thing in order for us to actually break the cycle. And I'm always reminded of Pastor Kelsey, and he always says, a message that he has said or preached before, that, Jesus is the cycle breaker. Jesus is the cycle breaker. And then I thought about what Prophetess had told us some time ago, that, worship deals with the root, and our flesh is what deals with the fruit. And the reason our flesh is what deals with the fruit is because we just want to do enough to get by. We don't really want to be whole. We just want to feel better. We don't want to have to go through and have the cast on to go through whatever we have to go through to actually heal. We just want to put a Band-Aid on and keep it moving. But in order for us to get to a better place, and in order for the cycles to be broken, we have got to go through a process. We've got to have some things to be pruned off of us. We've got to go through a cutting. We've got to go through some things being burnt off of us. Like, we have to let things go. And Tori, we're taught we cannot go high heavy. So in order for us to go higher, we have got to let those things go. And I think about what we're taught also about the seed. The seed goes into the ground and it's planted. But that's the same thing that happens when someone dies or when something dies, it's buried, it goes under the ground. But the thing that's dead stays there. If we want it to come back up, we have to water it. We have to do what needs to be done. But that's the seed that goes down. So what are we? Are we that dead thing, or are we that seed that God can pour into? And when we get a word from our pastors or our leaders or our, anybody, are we willing to receive? Are we like sponges trying to get what it is that's going to give us life? Or we just want to stay in that dead place? So we have to break these cycles, and I'm big on doing things differently with my children because of, like I said, what I know I went through. And it's amazing how even when you're an adult, you can go back to that state real quick. Because just like any other thing, we talk about PTSD, but there are triggers for everything that happens in our lives. There are different things that can really tick us off real quick, depending on what it is. It can either tick us off, it can put us in a state of depression, it can make us sad, and sometimes, a lot of times, it's life. And we're going to have to learn to deal with life, but we're going to have to know that we're more than conquerors. And in order for us to be the conqueror or more than conqueror that God has already professed that we are in his word, we've got to break the cycle, because naturally, like I said, we're going to do the same thing over and over and over again. It's like religion. We are accustomed to some things. We do things because that's what mama did, or that's what daddy did, or that's what grandma and great grandma did, and it's the church that they went to. But we're not getting fed. We're not getting anything from it. But we're doing it because we just fell into that same cycle. We fell into that same family cycle. But God is saying, in every area of our lives, we have got to break the cycle. And in order to break the cycle, we have got to uproot some things, not just pick the fruit, because we can see what's happening here. We can see what's happening there. We can see, oh God, I feel so bad today. But what's the reason? What's the reason? It's like some months ago, also, when I was having these horrible, horrible migraine headaches, or what we thought were migraine headaches. And then I later on found out that, my vitamin D and my vitamin C, all of that was low. Then I started having issues with what they said was my blood pressure, but at first it was just migraine. Before I went to the doctor and actually started having some tests done, blood work done, or whatever, to get to the root of it, I would have just been saying, okay, give me an Excedrin. But until we actually get to the root of a thing, we won't know what it is. And so we can't deal with it. We can't make it better. We can't say, God, I need, because even when we go to God and ask God for help, it's so much better when we can go to him and say, God, I need XYZ, not God, I just need. If we can be specific and say, God, I need you to take this out of me. And I remember Prophetess Dee Dee telling us at some point that, we needed to be specific, even about our sins, the things that we've done, not just say, God, please forgive me, but God, forgive me for fornicating. God, forgive me for committing adultery. God, forgive me for getting drunk, whatever it might be. Forgive me for that specific thing, even though he knows already. He wants us to tell him. If we can identify and let him know and just be open with it, God he can really uproot some things. And I'm a believer that he's a keeper if we really, really want to be kept. And with that being said, if we just have to break these cycles. And it's horrible that a lot of times we see ourselves going through the same thing day after day after day, or we'll go through it for like about a month or so, and then it'll get better because, yeah, I'm gonna cut this person off for a few days or something like that. And then, right after a few days have passed, you're like, but it sure would have been nice to talk to him or her. It sure, whatever the case might be. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship situation. It could be, just somebody who you say was your friend, but they're no good for you or whatever. And but it's because we're accustomed to certain things, and we just feel like we need those certain things in our life or those certain people in our lives. But when God has shown us who these people really are, and we continue to do what we've done before, knowing that they've hurt us, knowing that they've lied to us, knowing that, and I'm not saying, people don't make mistakes, because I do. But I'm saying when you know that God has shown you a person, and you actually take that face away from the spirit, why continue to go through the same thing over and over and over again, hurting yourself just so that they can be happy, just to save them, just to save them. Why do we do that over and over and over again? And God, and I guess that's what he had to teach me. And that's where I am, at a place where I can say, Lord, and that's not all the time that I always speak up. I have issues with speaking up a lot of times. And so that's something that I'm working on, because I would much rather just be quiet and, go to myself. But then I also know, and I tell this to my kids all the time, you have to speak up about things, because even if you had a friend and your friend is doing drugs and you're in the vicinity with them, you might not do what they do, but because you're around them, you're guilty by association. So I might know that I have an issue, but I'm not going to tell my children that I have that issue, but I'm also not going to do anything different with them. I'm just going to be hush hush about it, but that issue is still there. At some point, something is going to trigger, and I might not do anything directly towards them, but something is going to trigger something. They're going to see it, whether they say something to me or not. And so we've got to break the cycles, but we can't break it unless we deal with the actual root of a thing.
Woo.
Yeah.
Listen, you was supposed to be nervous, and it's like I'm in tears because you touch on some stuff that I'm dealing with now. Oh, I was trying to keep my composure, but there's some things that I didn't realize I was still dealing with. I'm at a loss for words. So you running for months. You were supposed to be here for such a time as this. I've been trying to get you here for months, and you just don't know how much you bless me. Yo, I'm a crybaby. I'm trying not to be no punk and crying, but you touched on so much that I'm dealing with that it's unreal. So let me go through the comments while I get my composure, because I'm so embarrassed because I'm crying. But it's like, man, because I don't like to be a burden. So I like to let people dump on me. But sometimes when I'm going through,
Right,
I be needing to talk, and I keep a lot of stuff to myself. So you touch on a lot that I'm dealing with. I try to be the strong person. I try to be like, have it appear that I have it together, but I don't.
right.
It's a struggle every single day. But let me get myself together. Let me go through some of the comments. Let me see the comments I missed. Miss Deborah said hello. Victor was saying Wilson, whatever, Victor. Mayo is the best school on the universe. And Victor also said, why am I in jail? Well, basically, when it comes to, he talking about, when I mentioned I was in Facebook jail, I said, basically, I made a comment on a friend of mine post, and it was basically talking about how sometimes you disconnect. And I made a comment, I don't want to say what I said, but basically what I was saying is I disconnect to protect my peace. But the choice words that I use, I got locked up for it. So, but anyway, it wasn't nothing major, and I don't think I deserve to be in jail, but I appealed it, and of course, I'm still locked up. But anyway, Tammy says, what's up? And Ms. Deborah was saying the things that you were saying was really good. I mean, you dropped so many nuggets, and the crazy thing about it, before we went live, you were talking about how nervous you was. Do you realize you talked almost 20 minutes straight?
No.
Non-stop. I mean, it's like, y'all, before she went on, she said, my stomach hurt. I'm nervous. I'm scared. But you talk about 20 minutes straight. Literally. Oh my God. Easy. And Victor said, why would I break something that feels good? Cycling is a form of normalcy. We all need some normalcy. Now, see, Victor, that is some of the problem. A lot of things that we think is normal is not necessarily normal. There's a lot of things that need to be broken that basically what you said, because it feels good, we don't want to break it because of
Right.
that fact it feels good. And then Belinda was saying so true with what you said. And Victor also says, I don't want to be no more than what's expected of me. I'm perfectly happy and content with doing what makes me feel validated. Definitely not looking for approval from a congregation or any organization. I'm responsible for me. And if I feel it's justified, then it is. Victor, you know what? I'm not finna go back and forth with you today. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this with you today. And Duchess says, yes, God. Amen. Miss Deborah says, amen. Duchess said, amen. Duchess said, Lord, I'm guilty. God has shown me. Help, Lord, help. And that was another thing that you touched on. Hold on. I'm trying to go through the comments. Miss Deborah said, come on. Because you was definitely in the vein. And Nisha Beach says, my God, let God use you, sis. And he's definitely doing just that. Miss Deborah says, Jesus. Belinda says, this is so true. Victor says, reel it in, Tori. Stop crying. Well, Victor, you know I'm a crybaby. I am. And just says, Mayo Golden Bears. Absolutely right. Miss Belinda says, God is always intentional and timely. And Miss Deborah says, okay. And then they faith took the words out of context. Yes, they did. And Miss Tabby says, hey, my beautiful friend, love you. Love you too, Tabby. And Desma says, I agree. Breaking cycles is so important. The problems with our community is that we are told not to let our slip show no growth in that once whatsoever. Duchess said, but you can do things out of habit and it needs to be broken. Absolutely. Victor says, what's normal to me may not be normal to you. But what I'm saying to Victor is that some things that are normal that you may consider normal because you're so used to it, it's what you're used to, may not necessarily be normal. That was the point that I was actually making. But when you said about doing things that makes you feel good, a lot of times the things that make you feel good are some of the things that we need to break away from. Because matter of fact, when you said the part about fornication, fornication was one of those things that I have struggled with. Like when I've dealt with stuff that was, and I say this all the time. I say that, because everybody that knows me know my story. I'm not perfect. A lot of people say, well, she Miss Goody too. No, I'm not. I'm far from perfect. I've done some things that I'm not proud of. I've done some things that I'm still healing from. And, sometimes you do things because you're so used to the dysfunction, right, that you get caught up in those cycles. And like he said, it feels good and you think it is okay. And it's like, for me, when I've been through the depression, like you remember you said earlier, and another thing that I want to throw something at you when you said how you block people. Like you can block someone and then you be like, okay, well, especially if it's somebody that you had an attachment to, like it could be a soul tie or something, right, and you can block them, but then you're like, oh man, I wonder if they reached out to me, or you know what I mean? And like, you know what I mean? And when you said that, I was like, oh my God, because I'm the queen of block. I'm quick to block people. Oh, Jesus.
Block me.
And
I ain't did nothing to you.
I was like, oh my goodness. And let me see what I missed. Miss Desma McWhite Williams, she said she's so proud of you.
Hey, Desma.
And Duchess says normal or habit, Vic. That's what I'm saying. Normal or habit. I think you're referring to a habit. And he said, Lord, fornication, it's a struggle. Lord, yes, take the whole wheel. Absolutely. And for me, for me now, when you talk about depression, for me, it's food. Like if I go through something, it's food. And like I said, I try to be that strong friend. I try to be that friend that I let people, like I said, dump on me. But sometimes I need to, sometimes I need to talk about things, but I just choose not to. And it's like I have to take my time to and like people that know me know, if I get quiet, a lot of times there may be something I'm dealing with. And it's just like certain things I'm just not ready to talk about. And there was something else that you said about how we sweep things under the rug. And a lot of times I know I have swept things under the rug. And I'm one of those people that something could have hurt me, whether it's something, an action that someone did or something was done. I'm going to act like it doesn't bother me. But the reality is it's bothering me. And I'm one of those people, like you said, something else you said earlier as well, is that like you, I don't always speak up. Now I'll speak up for other people, but I don't always speak up for me. Like you may say something you could have said something to me 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And because I didn't tell you, well, Quita, you said this that hurt my feelings. You don't know that it hurt me because I didn't open my mouth and tell you. But because you don't know that, how do I have the right to get upset with you because you don't even know?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and because of the fact that you don't know and I did not address it, then guess what? That issue may come up again. And you may continue to keep doing it. And for me, my problem is people will do things or say things and I let it fester to the point where I snap.
Right.
And then when I snap off, I'm reading down a list. You did this, and that. I could tell you dates, times when you did it, but the person never knows. So they're going to be like, why are you, and you just telling me something I did 6 months, you just telling me, but I don't know. And then another thing too, I'm not one of those people that like to hurt people's feelings, but sometimes by you protecting them and not wanting to hurt their feelings, you hurting yourself. Right. You know what I mean? And there's so much that I mean, Lord have mercy. Yeah, you said a lot of things that I just like literally lost it. I didn't mean to break down like that, but it just a lot of things you said that I resonated with. And Victor says, I'm human and I'm a sinner. I have accepted that gift that gift loves me. What? Gift loves me for me. I'm hit. God. I hope you meant God loves me for me. I'm his child. You type it too fast because them typos. Yeah, I've accepted that God loves me for me. I'm his child, and I will dwell in the house of my father. Now, Victor, here's the thing. We are all sinners. We all fall short. None of us are perfect. So that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that we all should strive to be better individuals daily. But I mean, every day is a struggle. Every day we have to literally die to our flesh on a daily basis. You know what I mean? We struggle with something. None of us will ever be perfect. No, never. And Tammy says, if you block them, why does it matter if they try to reach you? Tammy, be quiet. Don't do that. Don't do that, Tammy. Don't do that. And Natasha says, I am. Tammy says, exactly. So who's to blame if they didn't know? Okay, Tammy, be quiet again. And Natasha says, exactly. And Victor says, let's just address the elephant, the room. Sex can be used as a tool and weapon. We look at it as a sin because how it makes us feel after the deed is done. Well, here's the thing. And Victor, you already know how I feel about that. If it's not in the sanctity from, and like I said, I can't impose my beliefs on anyone. I believe what I believe. I'm a believer in God. I'm a believer of Jesus Christ. I can't, force my religion on anyone. But from what I believe, sex is supposed to be confined to marriage. You're supposed to come to one in marriage. So outside of marriage, it is considered fornication. It is not right. That's why a lot of times I feel as though we're so confused when we are doing those things outside of marriage. That's why we get so emotional sometimes, and you get emotionally attached to people, and it confuses you. You're like, well, why do I feel? You know what I mean? And it's like I know I have tried to disconnect from people, but once you have made that been with them physically, you still feel that person until you literally. Like I literally had to pray some soul tied prayers to get some people out of my system. And that's what it actually takes sometimes. So that's my just my belief, Victor. And Natasha says clean it out our closet. Absolutely. Tammy laughing. You know, I know why you laughing. And Tammy says, I thought you were open for comments. Tammy, you know I'm messing with you. Natasha, yes, them soul ties be something serious. And them soul ties will hold on. You have you tied to people for years if you don't never address it.
Right.
And Victor says, that's your opinion on sex, but we're talking about breaking cycles. So let's stop saying you got to be married to have sex. Well, Victor, you do. You do supposed to be married in order to have sex. Okay. That's just like I said, that's not my opinion, that's my belief. It's not an opinion, it's a belief based on what I believe spiritually. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect because I done some stuff that I wasn't supposed to do. I'm not married. I've done some stuff. I've got a child. I'm not married.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've done some things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. And I had to face the consequences of doing those things. So I mean, you do supposed to be married. Which Bible is it? You can look at any Bible. Look at any Bible. You said which Bible is it in? Where you supposed to be? Yeah, it's in there. You would say that. You would say that, but it's in there. You're supposed to be married. This queen has something special about her. Clayton Holmes. Hi, Clayton. And Clayton actually, I watched your story as well. You had a very powerful story. So thank you for sharing your story as well. But Quita, since you talk about the breaking cycles, and this is going to be a question off the top of my head. And for those that are listening, what are some of the things that we can do to break some cycles? Like, what are some things that you would suggest? Not, this is well based on with different things that that different things that you've experienced that you touched on with everything that you've been through. What are some things or strategies that you use in order to break the cycle? And like you said, like we both are still dealing with some things.
Yeah.
We both are still dealing. Like I said, I'm still dealing with some things that happened to me. I'm 45, and there are things that I'm still dealing with that happened to me as a child that I'm still healing from. And it's like a lot of times we have to realize that even though some situations are very painful, the pain is what really in most cases births some things.
Right.
Like we had to go through that pain in order for it to birth some things. If we didn't go through this particular pain, then this wouldn't happen. And I know a lot of times, like for me, with me going through pain, that's where I write most of my poetry from.
Right.
I write some of my best pieces from pain. So for me, and I think in most people, the reality is pain births some things. Even though when you're going through that process, it hurt. Oh my God, it hurts so bad to the point where you feel like you about to die.
Right.
But that pain is so necessary in order for us to become that better version of ourselves. It's so necessary. And I'm sorry, go ahead and answer.
And it is. And I know some years ago, I got the acronym for pain, prayer, and intercession nonstop. Pain, sometimes when we don't pray on our own, when things are going good, when we're in pain, when something is hurting us, when things are going bad, we see God in a whole nother light. But we have to be mindful to not only see him that way in those times. But that's what, and I believe that God uses the pain that we go through, and he doesn't cause it, but he allows us to go through things to make us who we are. I think about the like sandpaper on a block. You sand and you sand and you sand, and it's rough. But it's you, when you get to the finished product, that sandpaper is not going to be rough anymore. But what you want it to look like is what you're going to want it to look like, and it's going to be smooth, even though what was rubbing on it was rough and it might have hurt or whatever. And that's how I think about it with us. It's going to hurt. If we're in a state where everything is just happy-go-lucky all the time, we're not going through anything. How are we being molded? When a pot is being molded, the clay is on the spinning board and it's going around and round and round. Somebody has to be there. Their hand has to be there in order for it to take form and to take shape. If not, it'll be like an amoeba. It'll just be, just cell just out there. So we have to go through some things in order to be who it is that we're supposed to be. As far as the question that you asked, for me, I have to pray. There are times that I have to I have to fast. I have to intentionally, and I don't watch a whole lot of television anyway, but sometimes I have to break away from that because sometimes we'll watch something on television that we can relate to, and then we'll start to want that thing that we're watching on television, and it doesn't have to be sex. It could be just I mean, I don't it can be anything, but just something that puts us in the wrong mind frame because spirits are everywhere. And that's what we have to realize. And whether we're believers, Christians, whatever, or not, spirits are going to try us. There are demonic attacks all around us. So we have to be mindful of what we allow into our ear gates and our eye gates, even what we eat sometimes. We have to be mindful of all of that. So if we want to break the cycle, the things that we were doing, it's not always going to be easy, but we have to be intentional to not do those things anymore. Sometimes it's a process. Like you said, it's a process. And we don't want to go through the process. Because we don't want to go through the process, we'll get to say it's a 5-step program. We get to step 3, it gets a little hard, we come back down. And all that does is cause us to have to start all over again. But how long is it going to take us to start over again? Because we get back to that comfortable state. And like I said, we get comfortable and we stay there. So it's a process that we just have to be intentional. We have to ask God to give us the mindset, to give us the willpower, ask Him to be our strength, because we're not going to be able to do it on our own. Because if we could, we wouldn't have been in the cycle anyway.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna go back through some of the comments. Victor says, I love this topic. He said, I love this topic. Great topic, ladies. And Miss Belinda said, Tori, you don't have to apologize for your beliefs. Folk need to know that God will keep us if we want to be kept. Clayton says, to understand is how you break it. Mario says, men in these houses raising these kids. Clayton says, real talk. He says, word. Mario also says, the majority of Black women has been molested as a child. This is true. And Tabby says, tell it. And let me see, go back through some of the other comments. Hold on. And Clayton says, look at this beauty. Andrina says, hey, Quita.
Hey, Pocha.
I just know you ain't say her name. She could get you. And Clayton says, message. And Mario says, all that and still didn't answer the question. Let's see. And then let me go back here. And Clayton says, Queen is speaking from that place. Miss Belinda said, Quita, you're right. We must go through to go through. And Victor says, why do we associate struggling with accomplishments? Then if you make the right decision, you should breeze through life unscathed. Let me repeat that. Why do we associate struggling with accomplishments? Then if you make the right decisions, you should breeze through life unscathed. I don't associate that, that's for me personally, I don't associate the struggling. If I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, I don't associate the struggling with the accomplishment. But sometimes we have to go through the struggle in order to get certain things. If I'm understanding that right, maybe I'm misinterpreting that. But a lot of times we go through, like we were saying earlier, we have to go through this process. And there was something I was going to say. That when you talked about the rejection, we were talking about the rejection earlier. A lot of times when you go through the rejection, I know I can only speak for me. Going through the rejection when you don't know your worth. I've been in situations when, like you said earlier, where you know that person is not for you, but you stay in that situation because a lot of times you're fearful of what people are going to say. You don't want to start over. And I'm gonna be very transparent. People that know me, I'm from Darlington. I mean, Darlington's small. I don't have a squeaky clean class, but one thing I can say, when I was going through my depression, going through, like you said, I dealt with low self-esteem as well. And it's like, here's the crazy thing. I would tell people all the time, I'll constantly pour into other people. Like I'm always telling people, I tell you all the time, like how beautiful you are. and I'm telling somebody else, you're beautiful. I like your earrings. I like your outfit. Or I may see a brother like, yo, bro, you wearing that suit or, whatever. And it's like, while I'm pouring into them, sometimes I need pouring into myself. Like,
Right.
I could be complimenting you, but we have to be careful what we speak to ourselves as well. Because sometimes I could look at myself in the mirror and I'll be like, oh, you look hell, because I'm like, you got all the cellulite, you got this, and it's like when people tell me, compliment me, I'm not good at, and one of the things I have to work on, I'm not good at receiving. I'm a giver by nature, but I struggle with receiving
Mm.
badly.
Oh, we twins.
I struggle. Like, I can give you the shirt off my back, but if you try to give me a shirt off yours, I'm like, no, don't, no.
I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah,
Right.
I'm
Yep.
like, but I'm working on it. I'm praying that I get to a point where I'm able to receive, but I'm not there yet. That is one of my biggest struggles. I like to see everybody win, and one of the thing, and I'm a big supporter of everybody. I want to see everybody win, but sometimes I be like, well, dang, I'm there here giving them what they need, and sometimes I need for them to give me, what I mean, give it
Back.
back. And then I had
Bless
to
you.
also learn that what I give to other people, I can give, not only depend on people to give it to me, but I can give it to myself and start pouring into myself. But another thing that you said also about when it comes to breaking the cycles, a lot of things that we went through as children, we don't want to see our children go through the same thing. And
Right.
I said this all the time. Like, me and my son went through a phase where we were just, oh my God, it was it was like a war zone in our house. But it's like, I had to reverse that thing. Like, when I would yell, like, why you didn't do this? I had to start reversing it.
Right.
Instead of yelling and telling him, why didn't you this? I had to praise him for the things that he was doing.
Mm.
And instead of telling him what he was doing wrong, I had to start speaking to the king in him. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And once I changed my language, changed how I was talking to him, it's like he basically turned back into the child he was growing up.
Right.
Like a 5 year old, he used to be the sweet little boy, but like when when he hit middle school, it just like, oh, it was just crazy. But it's like when I start speaking to the kid now, granted, everything did not happen, the transformation did not occur overnight, but it took some time, but it's here. And now my son went from like barely want to do his work, but now he don't even want to make, if he had 100 in the class, y'all, his grade went down to 99. He was upset about that one point. And I was like, it's okay. But it's like, it was a point where he had no interest in school. But now he don't want to make anything lower than an A,
Right.
which I think is great. And I think that the praying and the fasting, like I said, I didn't see it at the time,
Mhm.
but everything is manifesting for his whole ninth grade year, honor roll all year. His sophomore year, he's been on honor roll all year, and I'm just so proud of him. So I think that it's so important that we fast and pray. And if you speak things, even before you even see it, and see, a
Mhm.
lot of times we get caught up because we're looking at things through our natural eyes. We have to look through our spiritual eyes, and then we see things before it actually manifests and happen.
Right.
But when I was looking at the situation, the current situation, I ain't saw nothing. But when I start speaking into the king in him, I
Mhm.
saw him for what he was going to be before he even became it.
Right.
And then I just started seeing the transformation of, I mean, he started changing. Like, before, I'm telling you do something 5 times, and now I'm telling you one, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see. But let me go back through some of the comments. Um, let's see. I'm trying to see what I missed. Uh, let's see. Oh no, it was the same. I thought, did I miss anything? Hold on. Oh, Clayton says it's not a him. If anything, it's a her. Uh, Victor says I'm driving and typing. I'm so sorry. You good? And Clayton says Jones at place of God, source at place of love, peace, and understanding. And Clayton also says pouring into ourselves profound. There's nothing wrong with that. We gotta pour into ourselves. And Nisha says, I was going to say you guys are twins.
That's my older sister.
Oh, okay. And Clayton says, real talk. Tammy says, exactly. Katie is a great child. And Victor says, okay, this is what I meant. When we're going through challenging times, we think at the end, here comes a blessing. But sometimes we are going through these times because we did something that we deserve to be there. So we try to make light of wrong decisions by saying, I know my blessing is coming, when in reality, you missed your blessing and the struggle is your reward for not paying. Now, I'm glad you
That's
said that.
good.
I'm glad you said it. Now, Victor, I'm glad you say that because that was actually one of the points that I was going to make. But when I started crying, I lost the point. But Victor, you hit the nail on the head because that was one of the points that I was going to make. Some of the things that we go through is based on our disobedience.
Yep.
It's self-inflicted because of our disobedience.
Right.
Like you delaying your blessing because of your disobedience. And when you start being, because I noticed that once I start doing things and told now, because like it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic relationships. It could be family. It could be people that you consider friends. And God can clearly, I've been in a situation where God clearly showed me, like I would even have it in a vision, or it came to me either in a vision or a dream. He clearly showed me this person, but I'm like, nah. And God literally like, listen, I gotta show you. But it's like I'm the type of person that, to my detriment, I try to see the best in everybody. But sometimes it don't always work out in my favor.
Right.
But back to what the Victor said, a lot of the things we go through is because of our disobedience. It's self-inflicted because of things that we did not do. We made the wrong decision. Now we got to face the consequences.
Right.
That's exactly right. So that was good, Victor. That was real good. And that was like one of the points that I meant to make earlier. You have got to own up to your stuff.
Right.
You got to be accountable for the decisions that you make. Because like I said, I have to, some things that I've done, that some decisions that I've made when I was in my 20s, my son is going to have to pay for because of some wrong decisions that I made. And I have to live with that and hold myself accountable. And I actually had I talked to him about it, and that's a whole nother topic that we're not going to get into. But when I talk about that particular situation, I may have to have you back because I may need you to help me through that situation. When I talk about that situation, and I'll go into detail explaining why did a decision that I made in my 20s, my son is going to have to pay for later in life. Like once I explain the situation, people will understand like, oh, wow. And it's nothing that he did,
Right.
but it's a decision that I made that he's actually going to have to pay for later in life because of my wrongdoing. You know what I mean? And sometimes things don't necessarily, bad decisions or wrong decisions that we make, or when we're being disobedient, it doesn't always affect us. It can affect someone that's connected to us. It can affect our children. It can affect their children. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we have to be very careful of the decisions that we make. And now I'm more careful with decisions that I make now, where I'm like, well, how is this going to have an effect on my child? Where before, especially before he wasn't even a thought, I'm thinking, I'm just worried about what I'm doing, what I want to do. I'm submitting to my flesh,
Right.
doing what feel, like Vic said earlier, doing what feels good. But now I look back now, because I did this, now he gonna have to pay for some things that I did because of my disobedience. But I have to hold myself accountable and own my stuff. I did it, and I have to own it. But like I said, we'll talk about that on a later show. I'm gonna go through some more of the comments. And Nisha says, yes, when you spoke to the king in him, he started seeing his value and his worth. Absolutely. And he believes what you see. Absolutely. I totally agree. And Clayton is laughing. And Clayton says, wow, what a profound statement, Victor. That was very good. I'm proud of Victor, because Victor, you normally get on my nerves, but Victor, that was real good. Cry, baby. Shut up, Victor. But that was good, Victor. I was real good. Clayton says, when you can start to understand what your vision is, in that you were truly know what God is, you are giving credit to get visions to Jesus. Who is Jesus? Stay with Christ. And Patrick Pierre says ignoring the red flag can be costly. Ah, oh my God, yes, it does. Clayton says we are the teachers. Clayton also says one of the most foolish things a parent can do is talk bad about their child, especially if they were not involved in the raising of it. And absolutely. Now that's good too, Mr. Holmes. Like if you, because I am a single mom, and here's the thing, like me and my, like here's the thing, when me and my son was going through our little storm, the thing was only people that was close to me knew what was going on. But trust and believe, when we outside that house, oh, I'm riding for him and he riding for me. You know what I'm saying? Like we might be going through our little thing, but you better not say nothing about my child. I'm out, you know, if you want to see me snap, say something about my child. Like I tell people, it's hilarious now, but I tell people all the time, and I mention this a lot. Like when he was bullied, I went to the little boy house. I was ready to fight the little boy. When it comes to my child, I'm a whole different beast. I'm a whole different beast. But we're coming to 55 minutes, girl.
I said 10.
Quita's like, I got 10 minutes worth of talking, but y'all, she talked like what, about 20 minutes straight. I was just like in awe. That's why I was like, oh my God, when I tell you, you stepped on my toes several times. That's why by the time you stop talking, I'm just crying like a baby. Oh my God, this was good to me. This was my whole life. And look, you've been running for months. So now that you've come, so can I you will come back, right?
I'm gonna run some more.
Quita, this was good. This was really, 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 really good. This was really good. You like the topic, and like I said, you just ran with it. It was really good. It was really good. So here are some of the other things. Oh, and I don't know if you what was some of the things, 'cause I think I asked you earlier, what are some things that you did, because I don't know if you named, because I think I interrupted you. But what was some of the things with everything that you've gone through? What are some of the things strategies that you use? Maybe you did. I'm not sure because I was trying to look at the comments as well. But what are some of the strategies you utilize in order to consider yourself breaking through the cycles? Because one of the great things is that you are speaking life into your children. You know what I mean? That's one of the beautiful things that you're doing. But what are some of the other things that you're doing that is not only you're breaking the cycle when it comes to your kids, but while you're breaking that cycle, you're also helping yourself in your healing process, because it is a process. It's nothing that's going to happen overnight. Like you said, it's a daily process. It's an ongoing process. So what are some of the things that you are doing to constantly heal?
Prayer is the first thing, always. Because there are some days that I feel like, okay, I got this. And then there might be a couple of days later, I feel like, oh no, I don't got this, you know? And so I have to pray all the time that, and just stay in God's face. And like I said earlier, worship. I have to worship. And I know there's sometimes where I feel like I fall and I'll reach out to like prophet or something. She was like, keep something in your ear. So I have to be intentional about that, because if I don't keep something spiritual in my ear, then, anything could be going through my mind or through my head. And it's not that just because I have it in my ear, nothing ever comes to mind, but it'll bring me back real quick. And you just have to be in. The word I always use is intentional. I have to be intentional about some things, about some people, about some places. You just have to be intentional. Like, okay, God, I know that if I go to the right, that's to the right. If I go to the left, that's there. I always go to the left. So this time I'm going to go to the right because I know what's going to happen when I go here. And sometimes it's almost like common sense. You know what's going to happen if you do this same thing over again. So, do the opposite. It's nothing deep. It's nothing, and that does not mean that it's easy, because God knows it's not easy. But you just have to do the opposite of that thing and ask God to help you, because like I said, we can't do it on our own. Mm-hmm. And like I know, just looking through the comments and everything, a lot about sex came up. I just want to specify that this isn't all encompassed around. Some people have different things, and one of the things that came to my mind as I was reading the comments was, it's like when I say a cycle, it could be, let's say you cut carbs for 6 months. You lose all this weight, and then the next 3 months or so, you just start gorging on the carbs again. So you broke the cycle, you lost the weight, but you went back into that same cycle. It could be a financial thing. You build your finance, you tithe like you're supposed to. You build to where you want to get to, and then something happened detrimental, and instead of rebuilding, you stayed in that place, or you just started splurging and you kept splurging, even though you know what it takes to save, you know what it takes to build to get to a certain place, but oh, I got this, so I'm gonna just splurge. And then before you know it, because it's what you're used to, you do the same thing all over again.
Right.
So, we just have to be intentional and be mindful of the things that we do.
Absolutely. And know that true repentance, when you truly repent,
Mm-hmm.
that means you stop doing it altogether.
And you turn away from
You
it.
you turn a completely turn away from it. And let me go back to this comment that I missed. Victor had put this comment. Let me go back to it. He said, "Your child will never pay for anything that you did, unless you worried about what society thinks. But most of the time, we put unsolicited stress on our children. No one cares what you did in the past. You're the only one keeping that alive, not us. Let it go. Let God and keep the faith." Well, once I go into detail, Victor, about what I'm referring to, and I could possibly, now that I think about, based on what you're saying, I could possibly making it bigger than what it is, but me and my son has had a conversation. And like I said, when I'm get to the point where I'm gonna talk about that situation, I'm gonna address that. But there's a reason why I feel like a certain decision that I made, I feel like it's gonna have an effect on him. But like I said, when I explain the situation, you'll understand why I feel that way, as coming from a parental point of view. And then Clayton says, real talk. Brittany said, "Hey y'all." Hey
Hey,
Brittany.
Britt.
And Jamel says it's real good. Thanks, Jamel. And go back. Clayton says, "You are think but not completely free with it. I'm here to let you know it's okay. Think, Queen." Thank you, Clayton. And Victor also says, "God speaks to me constantly, and I know he loves me unconditionally, whether I make a worldly mistake or a spiritual mistake. Either way, it's up to me to know the difference, and sex isn't one of them. But I get what y'all mean. Once again, excellent topic again. Tune in to the Tangity of Live tomorrow at 8." I hear you, Victor. Tangity tomorrow at 8 o'clock tomorrow, Victor. Yeah, Victor, a lot of times with Victor's that one. He's that kid that you have to keep in line, but for the most part, he has a very, very good heart. He's one of those people, try to be hard on Facebook or wherever, but he really is a sweet person, really sweet. Um, and Brittany says cut twice. I don't know what that means, Brittany. Natasha says exactly. Clayton says the "let God" statement is for sheep. What if your child said, "Let my father, not me"? Okay. And Natasha, oh, okay, on repentance. And Victor, Victor, don't try to be hard. Don't try to get on here and acting all hard. But you are a sweet person. You are a sweetheart. When you want to be, sometimes you could be difficult, but like I said, you're a sweetheart. I know that you are. But Quita, listen, I know you ran from me for a few months, but listen, I'm gonna need you to put the track shoes down, because you know that based on the way the conversation went, you broke some people free, right? Hope you know that. And let me tell y'all something about Quita. Quita is one of those people. She's so sweet. She's so quiet. She's so humble, but she's like the quiet storm. Like before she came, she's like, "I told her I'm so nervous. I didn't write anything down." But y'all see all these jewels she was dropping? Like straight. I mean, listen, and that's just how Queen is. She be like, "I'm nervous." But when she opens her my mouth, I'm getting tongue twisted. But when she opens her mouth, she speaks with authority. You are, even though sometimes you don't realize it, You are stronger than you give yourself credit. And a lot of times people think that because a person is humble and they're meek, the reality is when your person is humble and meek, they are very strong. They're one of the most strongest people that you ever would meet. The meekest people are some of the strongest people. People, I don't know why people think that being meek, you're weak. No, it's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
You're stronger than you even realize it. And just like you said in the beginning, when I was trying not to cry, but how you said I'm a blessing to you, you are definitely a blessing to me.
Aw.
So like Quita is my prayer partner. Quita holds me accountable. And a lot of times if I'm having a rough day, I don't always may share what I may be going through, but you may text me or say something that I know God sent you, that I know He sent you, because like certain things you text me, I'm like, it's like I can have a thought about something. I don't even say nothing to nobody about it. And out of the blue, you'll text me. And that text will be a situation I'm dealing with. And I said, God, that ain't nobody but you. So I want you to continue to, like I said, I know you're quiet, but you gotta continue to walk in your boldness and be confident in who you are. Cause sometimes I be like, quit it, come on. But listen, do you know how strong you are, man? You know how many times you hold me up, hold me down? You don't even realize it. You are very, very strong. So give yourself credit. And then Clayton says, she is giving you a blessing. Yes, she has. Nisha says she's definitely a quiet, right. She's a quiet storm. Tammy says, I have said the exact same thing to her. Wow. And Clayton says, you two are going to be tighter after this cast. Absolutely.
If
And
she can
Victor
catch me, 'cause I'm running.
and Victor says, excellent discussion, Quita and Tori. Quita, you may be holding up someone else's blessing by you running away from your gift. Tell her, Victor. Absolutely. Don't keep it to yourself. Let God and keep the faith. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm telling you, Vic, let me tell you. I asked Quita probably about almost about a year ago. Like, Quita, come on. They know, Tori, no. I'm like, Quita, you have so much to share with the world. And it's like the crazy thing about it is like when she starts speaking, it comes from a genuine place. And you like before she gets the mic, she be like, she don't have a clue what she said, but God just downloads as she's speaking. Like I said, y'all, I'm telling you, no lie. Before we went live, Quita was like, I'm scared. But as soon as I said, Quita, introduce yourself, and she started talking, Quita literally, no lie. You got to watch the replay. No lie. You talk 15, 20 minutes. No lie. I'm just sitting here. I mean, no lie. It's like you took off. Like, wait a minute. Is this the same person? She was scared. No lie. You took off. So definitely what Victor says, definitely you are blessed. You are such a gem, and you don't give yourself the credit. You really are such a gem. And he says, and Smitty, I mean, last king of Scotland says, we shall inherit the earth. We must remain humble and bold as a lion. And Nisha says, don't make my sister cry.
Child, I'm a thug. I don't cry. Okay.
And Clayton says, that's genuine, please. Yes, yes, yes. She like for real, she's such a gem. I love Quita. And let me also say this. Before when I first started going to Stone Tower, this is before I even became a member. And I remember there's two different occasions that stick out to me. There's one particular Sunday, you just like always greeted me with a smile. And there's one particular Saturday I was struggling. This is when we were physically going into the building for PI. And this Saturday morning, oh my God, I had a rough Saturday. And I felt like my world was just crashing around me. And that particular Saturday, I pushed and pressed my way to church. And you had no idea what I was going through. But after service that day, you just came up to me and you embraced me.
I hug
Yes.
you. The thug.
Yes, the thug.
Oh my God.
You embrace me, and when you embrace me, it's like I was already feeling God's presence, but when you embrace me, I just felt his peace all around me. So, like I said, you don't know the gift that you truly are. I want you to stop running from your gift. She looking like, huh? What? You truly are a gift. Let me see what Victor says. Quita, imagine if the disciple said, "Nah, Jesus, I'm shy. I'm not comparing you to them, but you need to tighten up."
That's good
What
though.
that Victor? Hey, that bruh, that's good. That's
It
good. You know what? I
is.
got to write these down. Victor, listen. So see, that was
That
good.
was. That hurt my feelings.
That's good though. That's good, Victor. That was good. As Smitty says, walk in your gifts, sis. And Clayton has a prayer, has a smiling face. That is and then and Clayton's laughing at Victor. But that was good
It
though.
was. But you know what? I've noticed about I don't know Victor, but just from the podcast or whatever, like he has this thing about him where I can look at his comments in the beginning and be wanting to be like, yo, you need to chill out. But he has, from what I see, like I said, I don't know him. He has this thing that makes you think, whether it's what you believe or not. He makes you think, and it's like it's necessary because if everybody is always on your side, whether, and that doesn't mean that what he says is what he really thinks, but he has this gift where he can pull things out of you just by looking at what he says or whatever. And I can appreciate that. Like, because I watch and I read things that he comments on some of the other podcasts, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna start here. But by the end, you know that he knows what you're talking about. Like but he has, it's almost like a debate team sort of. I'm gonna pick your brain. So do you really believe what you're saying? And we need that. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I don't even take it. Some people might take it like offensive, but I enjoy reading his comments a lot, and it kind of makes it interesting. You know what I'm saying? To have that. So yeah.
Don't blow Victor head up now. Don't do that. But you're right.
Yeah.
Victor makes you think.
Yeah.
And like I said, I love Victor. Victor my homie. But he does make you think. And like you said, we need that because
Mhm.
we don't want and me and Tammy has had this conversation. You don't want to what she call it? You don't want a yes man. The person is always gonna be around you to agree with you all the time. You want somebody that's going to hold you accountable. You know what I mean? You don't want somebody that's going to agree with you. You need people that's going to challenge you.
Right.
And Victor is that person. I totally agree. That yeah, Victor is yeah. But we're gonna get off Victor because I ain't want to blow his head up too bad. But listen, when I do this other topic that I have, we gonna talk about it after. Listen, you definitely got to come back because, like I said, you have dropped some serious jewels. Because actually, I'm gonna go back and take some notes. But you dropped some serious jewels. So you see all these comments. A lot of people's watching, and then just think about people that missed the live. People gonna go back and watch the replay too. So yeah. So just be prepared because I will be calling on you again.
My phone broke.
Your phone ain't broke. Your phone ain't broke. And Clayton says, your voice is soothing, Queen. Thank you. I don't know if you're talking to me or Quita, but thank you, whoever you're talking about. I hope it's we both. That's why that's why his name is Victor. Right. And Clayton, like I said, your I watched the podcast, Real Talk 360, and that was an awesome, awesome, awesome show. So continue to be the blessing that you are. Continue to share your story as well. That was very powerful. But with that being said, we don't talk over an hour. Look at that. Look, you see, when you having fun, you see how fast that hour went by.
You did most of the talking.
Listen, no, you did most of the talking. But But you guys, thank you so much for watching. Of course, if you would like to be a guest on the Keep the Faith podcast, you can email me at faithisnecessary@gmail.com. You can also call or text me at 843-920-8124. I would love to have you. And if you don't necessarily want to be a guest, you can also text text or leave me a message with a topic that you may want me to discuss, because we got to talk about those real topics that a lot of times we don't feel comfortable talking about, but those topics need to be addressed. So we want to talk about those hard topics. And also, if you would like to advertise with 119 Media Group, you can get in contact with Jamil. And y'all, I should know Jamil number by heart, but I don't. So I'm gonna look it up right quick. So if you like to be on any of the podcasts, we have several podcasts. If you'd like to advertise on any of the podcasts, you can contact Jamel Lodge, and his contact phone number is 843-687-5055. That's 843-687-5055. And of course, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Tanga Tea with Veronica and Victor. Tomorrow, now the tea, it's get spicy. That's a wholly different ball game over there, but they'll be up on tomorrow. So make sure you check out the Tanga Tea of Life on tomorrow. And with that being said, we're out. And Quita, any final thoughts or any final words before you leave? Because like I said, you coming back.
Oh, okay, then see y'all later. Sounds fun. No, just break the cycles. That's basically it.
Okay.
Break the cycles.
Well, thank you so much once again for coming on. Like I said, you ran for months, but this was really worth the wait. This was worth the wait. You blessed. Listen, you definitely blessed me.
Amen.
Like I said, you had me crying, doing an ugly cry. Victor was like, "Man, stop that." Lord, I wish I could edit that part out. You can't edit that out live, but I did an ugly cry. But it was really good. So I'm pretty sure there are going to be some more additional comments for people to add once they watch the replay as well.
Okay.
But thank you guys for watching. And like I said, if you missed the beginning, definitely watch the replay, and also make sure you share this. And we are out. You guys have a great evening. And thanks again for watching. And like I said, if you missed the beginning, make sure you go back and watch the replay. Peace out, y'all. You take care, and you guys be blessed.